Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a shakeup in the Democratic leadership of the Arizona Senate. We'll hear from a top AARP official about the effects of possible changes in Medicare and Social Security, and we'll find out about a company that uses technology to secure borders and help the military. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Democrats in the state Senate have ousted Leah Landrum Taylor as minority leader and replaced her with Senator Ana Tovar. It's a surprise move that's led to charges of racism and sexism. Arizona Capital Times reporter Luigi Del Puerto is on the story. Luigi, good to have you here. This is a surprise.
Well, not a complete surprise.
Interesting.
We started hearing about this one on Monday night, the eve of the vote, the caucus meeting, and we heard that this was going to happen. We didn't think it was actually going to happen. Let me backtrack a bit. Some members of that caucus had wanted to oust Leah for quite some time. We've been hearing this on and off during session, after session, and on Monday night. And of course, when it actually did happen, it took us a little bit by surprise, but like I said, not completely.
Why did they want to get rid of her? Was she ineffective? Was she uncooperative? Was she distant? Did she not communicate well? What was the problem?
There are many theories that are floating around why they did it. I think the most valid one is simply that there are two wings of that caucus. And basically, you had one group of Senate Democrats who had come from the House. They had served in the House and moved over to the Senate at the same time. So there's that caucus of younger a group of people, and there's the older guard represented by Leah and the former assistant minority leader Linda Lopez. These are the guys who had been in the Senate for a longer time and supposedly wanted to keep the younger ones in a short leash, if you will.
Oh, so basically there was a fracture there. I mean, because we hear about the fracture in the Republican Party all the time, and of course they're in power right now, so you hear more about that. But so this was bubbling under the surface here throughout the session?
This was always bubbling under the surface throughout the session. In fact, when Leah was elected a Senate Democratic leader, the vote was 7-6. It was that close.
Interesting. Okay. Who is Ana Tovar? Was she an ally at all of Leah Landrum Taylor?
She was among the House Democrats who had moved over to the Senate. So in a way, she's part of that group. Although when she was elected as Senate Democratic whip, she played the independent card. She said, "I'm going to listen to both sides. I'm not going to try to play either side, and I'm just going to try and do my best to be the whip and to promote the priorities of the caucus." She's from Phoenix. If you remember the organ transplant issue a couple of years back, she took the lead among the Democrats in fighting for that, and eventually, the Democrats got the governor to change their mind and restore funding for that.
Yeah, I believe we had her on Arizona Horizon on just that particular issue. Okay, so we've got House Democrats moving over to the Senate in a sort of a block here, new guard, old guard represented by Leah Landrum Taylor. Are there other fractions here? I mean, are we looking at Tucson and Phoenix? Are we looking at Latino and African American? Are there divides at play here?
We've been hearing all sorts of speculations about, especially about race and ethnicity as potentially one reason. I mean, Leah herself said that was a reason why she was ousted. Of course, there's a Hispanic caucus in the state legislature. The Hispanic caucus has been big. It's still very influential, and so that was one of the reasons why she had initially said that I was ousted potentially because of my race and because of my sex. Of course, the interesting thing about it is that Ana Tovar is a member of the minority. She is Hispanic and she's also a woman.
Well, what did that mean, the sexism, especially because, again, you mentioned Ana Tovar is a woman. Is she suggesting that previous minority leaders or previous Democratic leaders that were male were allowed? Now, she is running for a higher office, and there was some concern regarding that, but others have run for higher offices. Is she saying that the men that did it weren't affected like this? I am?
That's in fact what she is saying. I talked to Linda Lopez immediately after that vote, and she said that, I talked to Leah immediately after the vote, and she said one of the things that was raised during That meeting was the fact that I'm running for a statewide office, and there were questions as to whether I could run the caucus at the same time run for a statewide office. And of course, to her mind, David Japara ran for Congress while leading the Democrats in the Senate. Jorge Garcia ran for the Corporation Commission while also still running the caucus, and those questions were not raised, or there was not an attempt to oust them.
Some of the quotes she gave you here, the most blatant, racist, disrespectful move I've ever seen in my life. She also said, Leah Landrum Taylor did, that I'll never set foot in that caucus room again. How divided is this Democratic caucus, and what does that mean now for the next session?
Well, it's very divided now, and I think one of the things that, one of the challenges that Anna Tovar faces is how to heal that fracturing within her caucus. I'm not sure if that would be completely healed. They've got a couple months. I'm assuming that this issue will still be there when session starts, and of course, the Republicans could take advantage of that division. Of course, you know, if you're the ruling majority party, it would be good for you if the other side is fractured or is weak, because you can take advantage of that. You can pull away votes from that caucus and help you, advance your agenda.
With that in mind, we know Republicans have more power at the legislature than Democrats, so I don't want to say who has more power, but who is more fractured? Which party is more fractured right now?
Well, that's a very good question. I think the Republican caucus is more fractured than the Democratic caucus.
Even with all this?
Even with all this, you have to understand that when it comes to issues that are important to the Democratic Party, they're very united. Funding for education, funding for health care, the fight for Medicaid expansion, for example. They're united on those big ticket issues, those priorities that they have. The Republicans are not. I mean, they're all over the place when it comes to taxation, Medicaid expansion, for example, healthcare, the budget. So I would, from my vantage point, it's the Republican caucus that's still the more fractured, that still has more factions, to my mind, than the Democratic caucus.
All right, Luigi, good stuff. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
A new report by the AARP looks at Social Security's impact on Arizona's economy and the nation's economic prosperity. The report comes at a time when many in Congress are calling for changes to Social Security and Medicare. Joining me now is AARP National Senior Policy Strategist Cheryl Mathias. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
You betcha. All right. Before we get to this report, I know that the AARP had this initiative, this You've Earned a Say initiative. What is all that?
That's right. We talked about that last
year.
Yes,
we did.
We have gone out to our members and to the public to give people good information about Medicare and Social Security, about the fact that both programs need more financial standing to be there for the future, and what are the options for changing them. And we went out and we wanted to give people information. We used think tanks from the left and the right, that's Brookings and Heritage, and we had them write up their arguments so people would understand and know where the argument came from, and they could make up their own mind about what they wanted to see done. And that's the whole point of the You've Earned a Say. You pay into Social Security, you've earned a say in its future.
What did you hear people say?
We heard from 10 million people so far. We have a lot more to go. But we really heard that people value the programs greatly. People of all ages value these programs, very, very popular programs, and all political leanings. It really isn't different. And they want the benefits to be there. And when you think about it, it makes sense because even a young person, young people often say, oh, I don't think Social Security is going to be there. Well, the fact is that it is going to be there because we have enough money to pay full benefits for the next 20 years. And after that point, there'll be enough money to pay 75% of benefits. But 75% isn't good enough, but it will be there. So we need to change things to make sure that there's 100% of benefits for our children and grandchildren. And they want it. They may not think it's going to be there, but they're going to need it because they don't have the pensions that people have now, and they're not going to have as much savings.
And I thought I noticed ideas like clamping down on drug prices, improving care coordination, cut over testing, cut waste, cut fraud. Did those seem to cut across
Those
party
are
lines?
ideas for Medicare, and those are ideas that experts have come out with and said you could save a great deal of money in Medicare without hurting people who get Medicare, without cutting the benefits down. There are ways to get better care at a lower cost. And we're promoting those because that's what people said they want to see.
Okay, that's Medicare. Let's talk about Social Security specifically and the impact on the national economy, the impact on Arizona, especially the multiplier effect. Talk to us about what that, we've talked about that with
Sure.
economists before, but give us
Sure.
a capsule summary.
The idea of a multiplier effect is that when I hire you and pay you money to work for me, you go home and spend that money. And that money you spend at a store, and that store hires more people because you're spending more money. So it's the way that money flows through the economy that actually adds up to a greater amount than the amount that I just paid you to work for me.
And that multiplier effect as far as Social Security is concerned is money that comes into Arizona to a Social Security
Right.
recipient spreads out.
That's right. So this year in Arizona, Social Security will pay about $16 billion in benefits. That's a lot of money. But that $16 billion is going to generate almost $30 billion in economic impact. So that's almost a 2-for-1 expansion through the multiplier effect. And that's a lot of money in a state like Arizona. Even Arizona with lots of people, $30 billion is nothing to sneeze at.
And you're talking a couple 100,000 jobs, you're talking 1.7 some odd billion in taxes, state and local taxes.
Additional state and local taxes, more people being hired, people getting higher wages.
Okay, with that in mind, the stability of both Medicare and Social Security, obviously paramount to the folks that you talked to, the folks that you heard from regarding this, this initiative. But how do you balance that with the idea that the country is in trouble? The country can't pay its bills right now. We got mayhem practically back there in Washington.
We do.
And we have all sorts of ideas to cut structural body of Social Security and Medicare, to cut all sorts of this, that, and the other. How do you balance this?
Well, our members really care about our country and they care about paying the country's bills. But remember that for Social Security, that's not part of the budget deficit. Social Security, and people know this, is a program that is completely funded by what people pay in during their working years. And they pay in with the expectation that if they need it, when they retire, or should they die and leave a widow or widower and children behind, they're going to get it. And that's the compact of it, and it's not part of the budget deficit. So we would like to see a separate conversation just about Social Security and retirement security to make sure that people in the future, that's our children and grandchildren, because they're the ones who are going to be affected by it. You know, people who are near retirement age now are going to be fine, but we need to make it strong for people in the future.
How do you make it strong for people in the future?
Well, there are a number of ideas that have been put out there, and we put out booklets that I showed you last year. You can find them on earnedasay.org. That's the website that we set up. And they have different options. And you can make up your own mind about those options. It'll probably be a package of them. But I would like to talk about one option because it's an option that's being talked about right now.
Please.
And it's a very dangerous one. And that's called the Chained Consumer Price Index, or Chained CPI. You know, Social Security just came out with an announcement that it's going to have the lowest cost of living adjustment that it's ever had next year. And that is because the cost of living adjustment is based on the CPI, which is a market basket of goods and services that people buy. The problem is that older people buy a different market basket of goods and services than younger people. And their market basket is very heavily weighted to medical care, to utilities, things that they cannot control the price of. You know, older people, the chain CPI, which is a proposal to actually even reduce it more, goes under the concept that you substitute. So, for instance, if you usually buy steak for your family on Sunday night, you will substitute hamburger if steak gets more expensive. It makes a lot of sense to people, but the problem is you can't substitute cheaper medical care. You can cut out the medical care. You can cut your pills in half and they won't do you any good and you end up in the hospital. You can turn the lights off if your utility bill goes up, but that's not the kind of substitution we're talking about. So it's a really dangerous proposal because it starts out as a small cut, but it's cumulative over time, so it gets added to every single year. Just like when we were little and we learned about compound interest, well, think about a compound cut. And so if there's a chain CPI that cuts a little bit from somebody when they're 65, when they're 85 and have much less income to rely on, they could lose as much as an entire month of benefits.
With that information, we got about 30 seconds left here. What do you want folks, AARP members or not, to do with this information?
It's really important right now that they tell their member of Congress that they don't think chain CPI is a fair solution for Social Security. That's an immediate problem because even though Social Security shouldn't be part of the budget deficit, it is part of the talks going on right now in Washington.
All right. Well, it's good to see you again. This is important information. I know a lot of our viewers are very interested. One more time with that website.
It's earnedasay.org, or you can go on the AARP website and type in Social Security. You will get all the information we've talked about.
All right. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
It's been delightful to be here.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Technology and Innovation focuses on StrongWatch Security, a Tucson-based fixed and mobile surveillance company that targets the needs of border security, law enforcement, and the military. I recently spoke with Drew Dodds of StrongWatch. Drew, thank you for joining us on Arizona Horizon.
Thank you for having me today.
Let's talk about the company's focus. What exactly do you do?
Well, StrongWatch is a surveillance innovations company that was founded in April of 2008, and we create solutions that protect people and assets.
And it sounds like it's mobile surveillance technology here. What does that mean?
So we have two core offerings. One is our mobile surveillance solution, aptly named Freedom on the Move, which is a very rugged and robust surveillance system that's typically mounted in the back of a pickup truck and has different capabilities such as infrared cameras, color cameras, laser rangefinders, DVRs, streaming capabilities. It's a gyro-stabilized system, so it can actually be used while you are on the move. And then second to that, we have our autonomous fixed surveillance solution, which is called Freedom 360.
Okay, so mobile and fixed as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, was this used in the Yarnell Hill fire?
Our mobile asset was.
How so?
Well, it was really a two-part story. By day, we were assisting the firefighters with detecting hot spots using the thermal imager and being able to relay that information by a cellular network. So we could stream that information to a firefighter's smartphone, and they could utilize that connection with their smartphone and our thermal imager to walk themselves onto something that they can't see with the naked eye.
Was this the first time it's been involved with this kind of a situation?
On the fire side of the house, it is. And that was what we were doing in the daytime, and by nighttime we were basically marring up with the county sheriff to do patrols of the evacuated areas just to make sure that no looting was taking place. People were staying on their property if they had stayed.
And you were recognized by Congressman Ron Barber for this particular activity.
I was, and we were as a company.
Yeah, and that must be a good feeling then that you were contributing at least to a situation that turned out to be pretty rough, but you were doing a good job up there.
Well, we were trying to do anything we could to help.
And that, as far as StrongWatch is concerned, it sounds as though there's a security aspect, obviously, to this. Talk about who your customers might be. Obviously, this was state and government up here, state and local government, and the feds to a certain degree. Is that basically who your customers are?
You know, our customers are public safety in general, both state, federal level. We also have commercial opportunities, but it's predominantly state level at this time.
Border security?
Everything from border security to homeland security, emergency management, first responders of all types, even on the fire side of the house as well.
I was going to say law enforcement and border security in general, the use of technology, it's really increasing, isn't it?
It is. We
Yeah.
have to keep up with the challenges that are faced every day by the folks that are doing the dirty work.
And emergency management, we saw the Yarnell Hill fire. Give us some other examples of how what this freedom on the move could work in certain situations.
Well, if you had a catastrophic event, say a large earthquake or whatever you might have, you can utilize a thermal camera to detect human heat signatures for potential survivors of a catastrophic event. Give exact geospatial information, so follow-on forces know exactly where either a threat or somebody that might need help might be. A lot of different use cases for the emergency management folks.
And again, we talk about state, local, federal government being clients. What about overseas clients? What about overseas governments? What about folks that you may not be too sure what they're going to use something like this for? How does that work?
Well, obviously we have to be very careful, and we have quite a bit of due diligence that has to be done when we're working with people, whether it's in the States or abroad. We're currently supporting many more stateside opportunities right now than we are internationally, but we certainly intend to grow in that direction as well.
But you did. Are there State Department requirements when it comes to things like this, or?
There are export regulations to make sure that somebody that shouldn't have the technology doesn't get it.
Yeah, I hear you. How did the company get started?
Well, originally we had a pretty deep fundamental basis within the video analytics world, and this is predominantly on the backs of three gentlemen, Mark Howell, Mike Powell, and Andy Griffiths. And they had originally come together to do some very interesting video analytics work, and that basically morphed into the hardware side of the house when we were successful in securing an opportunity to basically build these systems for the U.S. Army and the government.
So was there a particular idea, a particular spark that got things going from the theoretical, the design board, to hardware and ready to go?
I think a lot of it was just what was driven from the operator's needs. Like a lot of technologies, we saw a fundamental gap in the situational awareness that both warfighters and public safety has in general. And we wanted to create a system that was robust, that would help them maintain situational awareness and realize where the threats might lie with actionable intelligence.
How difficult was it to get from idea, again, from drawing board to marketplace?
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We've spent a lot of time out in the field with operators, getting direct feedback on system features and what's helpful, what's not, taking that feedback from operators, going all the way through the engineering process to get to a fully baked product.
And as far as the costs of this fully baked product, what are we talking about here?
It really depends on how it's built. We don't have any one system that's really built like another. They're all suited specifically for the end user. So it's really a pretty broad range of pricing, and it also depends on whether it's federal, if it's state, if it's international. So it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer.
Okay, I can understand the situation there. Based in Tucson,
We are.
why?
Tucson is home. So everybody on the team is raised in the area, with the exception of a couple of folks, but we are a hometown company, and Tucson's where we live.
And do you find that we do obviously a lot of technology and innovation stories here on Arizona Horizon, and we're always trying to figure out where the action is and why the action isn't in certain spots. What are you seeing out there as far as technological development? This is obviously security concerns and surveillance and this sort of thing, but overall, what's happening out there?
Well, it seems like there is definitely a growing need for what the law enforcement and public safety arena would call a common operating picture, being able to share actionable intelligence in real time. And that's certainly something that they're pushing to the forefront for first responders, whether it's an event like the Boston Marathon attack or if it's just a simple crowd overwatch event. Being able to share intelligence in real time is critical for maintaining situational awareness, not only at the operator level, but also at the command level, so they can make the appropriate decisions.
Last question, what's next for StrongWatch? Is it refining what you have? Is it moving on into different fields?
I would have to say sticking to our core competency is going to be our strength moving forward. With that said, there's always the need to integrate new features, new components, new technologies into the already existing technology to create what we call a one-off solution.
Will that mean staying in Tucson, or does that necessitate maybe moving somewhere else?
Tucson is home for us, so
All
that's
right.
where we're staying.
All right. Well, it's good to have you here, and it's good to have you joining us on Arizona Horizon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And Thursday on Arizona Horizon, we'll look at expansion plans for Sky Harbor Airport, which include the closing of Terminal 2, and food stamp cuts kick in Friday. We'll talk about the impact to Arizonans. That's on the next Arizona Horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.